I recently posted a video breaking down the real monthly cost of living in a 55 and older community here in Corona. And the number that really surprised a lot of people was this one, $1,780 per month. Now that's the average monthly cost of living in the community of Terramor, even if your home is completely paid off. So in this video, I want to talk about the situation that affects so many seniors in retirement. And it's something called being house rich, but cash poor. Hi, my name is Casey, and I'm a realtor here in Southern California, and I specialize in helping people buy and sell homes in 55 and older communities like Trilogy, Glen Ivy, and the community of Terramor. And after working with seniors in these communities for several years now, I've noticed a pattern. A lot of people go into retirement thinking that once their mortgage is paid off, their housing costs will be basically over. And while I understand why people think this, the reality is a little more complicated. And there's actually a term for people in this situation. It's called being house rich, but cash poor. But before we go into the specifics of it, I want to explain one thing that I think is really important. And that's the difference between your home equity and your monthly cash flow. Because these two things are completely different. Now, the equity you have in your home is an asset. So it's the value you built up in your home over the years. And for a lot of people approaching retirement, that equity can be significant. But here's the thing, your equity doesn't pay your bills every month. Your cash does. And this is where a lot of seniors find themselves in a tough spot. They're asset rich, meaning they built up big amounts of equity in their home, but their monthly income from things like Social Security, a pension, or investments still has to cover every single monthly expense, including housing. And a lot of these expenses continue even if your mortgage is paid off. And in the video that I was talking about, I broke down the average monthly cost of living in the community of Terramor and the community of Trilogy, Glen Ivy. And if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link up above so you can check it out. But here's the short version of that video. Now in Trilogy, Glen Ivy, if your home is completely paid off and it's in that $700,000 to $750,000 range, you're still looking at expenses of roughly $1,350 per month. And that's including property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, and a small budget set aside for community activities. And over in the community of Terramor, that number jumps even higher to $1,780 per month. And that's because Terramor is a newer community. So it has an additional special assessment tax added in that Trilogy doesn't have anymore. And these special assessment taxes are right around $3,000 per year. So that's adding several $100s a month on top of everything else. And for some people, these numbers are very manageable. But for others, it can feel overwhelming. And the truth is, it really just depends on your personal situation. So the real question for seniors thinking about buying a home isn't just how much does the home cost? You really have to ask yourself, how much money do I have coming in every month? Because at $1,780 per month for housing costs in Terramor, even without a mortgage, that means you're spending roughly $21,000 a year on expenses just for your home. And remember, that's before you pay for utilities, groceries, gasoline, or your health care. And I'll be honest with you, for some people, that number's okay. And if you have a solid pension, rental income, or strong investment returns that cover these comfortably, it's typically not a problem. And if that's you, these communities can absolutely make sense financially. But for others, especially people living primarily on Social Security, that number can take up a significant portion of what's coming in every month. And that's where I see people struggle. And not because they made a bad decision about the house they purchased, but because they didn't fully understand or take into consideration all of the monthly cost before they moved in. Now, before we move on, if you found this video helpful so far and you'd like to see more videos about buying and selling a home as a senior, I'd love if you consider subscribing to my channel. Now, I post new videos every week about issues that are important for seniors. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's say you run the numbers and you're not exactly sure they work. What are your options? Well, first, you need to use your equity strategically. Now, when you sell your current home and you move to a 55 and older community, you may walk away with a large amount of money. And some people put that into investments that generate monthly income to help offset these ongoing housing costs. And I won't go too deep in this one because it really depends on your personal finances. But I always recommend talking to a financial advisor to help with this one. They really can break down the numbers to make sure your plan makes sense. And another option is to consider the advantage that Trilogy Glen Ivy offers. The difference between $1,350 per month and $1,780 a month is over $5,100 a year. And over 10 years, that's a savings of over $51,000. So if monthly costs are a concern and your budget's a little tight, then Trilogy's lower baseline is definitely worth taking a look at. And finally, if you're not 100% sure, it's not a bad idea to rent before you buy. Now, I know that might sound strange coming from a real estate agent, but if you're not completely sure whether these numbers work long term, then renting does make sense. It gives you the chance to see the real numbers firsthand and to make sure the budget works. Plus, it lets you experience the 55 and older lifestyle and the community before you get locked in by buying a home. And the reason I share this information is because I want you to have a realistic picture of the true cost of living in a 55 and older community. Because for a lot of people, these are a great place to live. You'll find plenty of amenities like swimming pools, fitness centers, walking trails, and tons of social events. Plus, you're surrounded by people in the same stage of life. But in my opinion, it's important to get the numbers right before you make this decision. And the people who end up being the happiest are the ones who understood all of the numbers and went in with their eyes wide open. They knew the numbers, they had a plan, and they were comfortable moving forward knowing they could afford it. So keep in mind, the question isn't just, can I afford the home? It's, is this lifestyle worth what I'm going to be paying for it? And honestly, only you can answer that question. So if you're trying to figure out whether the numbers make sense for your specific situation, we should get together and have a conversation. I can help you map out what your real monthly cost would look like, whether that's in Trilogy at Glen Ivy, Terramor, or one of the surrounding communities. But I'll put my contact information number up on the screen, so feel free to call or text me anytime. Now, thanks again for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.